Are you looking at single-family homes or smaller multi-unit properties? Chances are you'll be using the comparable approach to value them. So in this video, I'll be walking you through how the comparable approach is used to value residential real estate. So make sure you hit the subscribe button right now so you don't miss more videos about building wealth through multifamily real estate. And if you don't know me, I'm Seth Ferguson, a 12-year real estate veteran, host of a real estate TV show, host of a real estate investing podcast, and the author of the real estate book, Sell for More. So let's dive right into it and talk about how you can use the comparable approach to value residential real estate. And the comparable approach is really an apples to apples comparison, looking at one property's characteristics versus looking at a similar property that has recently sold. When we talk about larger commercial real estate, this is valued using what's called the income approach, and we look at the income produced by that property. But for smaller multi-units and residential properties, the lenders, which is very important, only care about the property itself. So the rents, the variation in the rents won't affect that property's valuation. So I'm going to draw my chart and I'll be right back. I've got my chart ready now, and like I said before, the comparable approach is really an apples to apples comparison. So we're looking for very similar properties to the subject property, the one that we're currently looking at, within a reasonable period of time in the past that has sold. Because asking price is one thing, people can ask for the pie in the sky, but what we really care about is what has actually sold in the marketplace. So in some markets, I might be looking at the past 2 weeks. Other markets, it might be looking at the past 3 months or 6 months. It all depends on your specific market. And like I said before too, the lenders don't care with the comparable approach about the income produced by the property. That's for larger commercial real estate. In this case, the lender, all they care about is the property itself, the location, and all the things we'll be looking at. So let's take a look at the subject property. The one we are looking at right now, trying to determine its value, is a 5-plex. But whether it's a single family or a smaller multi-unit property, these will all follow the comparable approach method for valuation. So we're going to look at the location, and I found 3 good comparables. So the location of comparable A is superior. I gave it a plus. For option B, it's inferior location. Maybe it's in a grummier part of town. And then comparable C, it's very similar to the 5-plex location. So again, we're looking for an apples to apples comparison. Size-wise, comparable A has a better location, but it's smaller. Comparable B, it's very similar in terms of size. So maybe it's 2,000 square feet, let's say. And comparable C, it is bigger in size. Now for condition, interior condition, exterior condition, I've lumped all of these things into the same. Now obviously when you're doing your own comparable approach, you'll be using more than just 3 parameters. But for this example, this is a really good illustration of how this works. So for condition, comparable A is superior again. Comparable B, it's inferior, and then comparable C, it's very similar. Comparable A sold very recently for $600,000. Comparable B sold for $400,000 recently, and comparable C sold for $500,000. And it's really important when you're looking at comparables to find comparables that fit within a reasonable time period in the past. If a comparable is 6 months old and the market's really shifting, you're going to discount that comparable or give it less weight because you want something a lot more recent. So whenever a market's shifting, unless the market's flat, that's a pretty safe bet. But if you have a market going up or down, you really want to use the most recent data that you have available. So as we see as we go through this, comparable A, it's superior in 2 areas, location as well as condition. It's a little bit smaller in size, but this sold for $600,000 based on the location, which you can't change, and then condition. And then comparable B, it's inferior in location and it's inferior in terms of condition, and it's roughly the same size. And this is why it sold for $400,000. Now comparable C, it's very similar for location, very similar for condition, and it's only bigger in size. So for me, if I'm looking at a property like this, location very similar, condition very similar. I can work out the size by doing my pluses and minuses. Maybe it's cost per square foot, whichever metric you feel is most appropriate at the time. But you can make your alterations to this value to account for the size difference. So if I'm looking for a comparable out of these three, I would be choosing option C, that sold for $500,000. So once I account for the size difference, we're probably looking, depending on the market, a little under $500,000 for the value of our property. So that is the comparable approach in a nutshell. If you want to learn about how you value larger commercial properties using the income approach, I'll put a link up right here to that video. So if you want to learn more about real estate investing or learn more about the deals that I'm currently doing, which are on the larger end of the spectrum, go to callseth.com and set up a 20-minute call with me. And if you like this video, if you found this useful, leave a comment, let me know what you think, hit the like button, and until next time, happy investing.